of you have learned about the Titanic, or at least heard about it. Today I will tell you about the history of the Titanic. The Titanic was the largest passenger steamship built at Harland and Wolford. It was said to be unsinkable, but unable to live up to its expectations. As in this picture, you can see this is before the Titanic sank, and this is the founding of the Titanic at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. I have been to multiple Titanic museums, including the one in Las Vegas, Nevada. The more one knows about the building, voyage, and sinking of the Titanic, the better one can understand why the director of White Star Line, J. Bruce Ismay, and the ship's main constructionist, Thomas Andrews, felt the need to construct a line of faster ships capable to transport passengers in a more efficient and elegant way. The Titanic, which was owned by White Star Lines, was built by Harland and Wolff in Ireland. They also built the sister ships Atlantic and Olympic. The ship was assembled in Belfast, North Ireland, and launched May 31st, 1911. It took 3 years to build the Titanic. More than 3,000 workers helped build this ship. About 250 workers were injured during the building of the ship. Out of 3,000 workers, only 8 died in the building process. The Titanic weighed 46,000 tons. The center anchor was 18 feet long, and it by itself weighed 15 tons. It was the largest hand-forged anchor ever made at this time. The ship was 175 feet tall and 3,000 feet long. The Titanic was said to be unsinkable. They thought this because it had 16 watertight bulkheads and was made out of battleship material. It was said that 4 compartments could be flooded and the ship would still stay afloat. During the sinking of the ship, 5 compartments were flooded. Next, I will inform you about the main and only voyage the Titanic took. Once the ship was launched on May 31st, it traveled to Southampton, England, Cherbourg, France, and Queenstown, Ireland. April 11th, 1912, the main voyage for the Titanic began. Starting in Queenstown and planned to go to New York, but sadly never made it. On the voyage, the Titanic had 2,228 passengers. The ship had approximately 337 first class, 285 second class, and 721 third class passengers. Also, 885 crew members were on board the ship. The cost for a first class passenger to get aboard the Titanic was almost $100,000. Wherefore, second or third class was anywhere from $300 to $900. The main voyage lasted 3 days before hitting the iceberg on the starboard side of the ship that sank the Titanic. It had been said that a lifeboat drill was scheduled to take place, but for some unknown reason, Captain Smith canceled the drill. Researchers have said that more lives could have been saved if they would have had the lifeboat drill. Finally, my last point will be about the sinking and finding of the Titanic. The iceberg that brought the Titanic voyage to an end was spotted at 11:40 right in front of the ship by Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee. Only a couple of minutes passed between the sighting of the iceberg and the ship's side finally striking the iceberg. The first lifeboat was lowered into the water at 12:45. The last one was lowered at 2:05. Earlier that evening, Captain Edward S. Smith increased speeds to 22.5 knots. Historians said that if a ship had been going slower, the ship would have had time to avoid hitting the iceberg. The ship was completely underwater by 2:20. It took approximately 2 hours and 40 minutes for the ship to submerge completely underwater. At least 1,517 passengers and workers lost their lives due to the sinking of the Titanic. The ship was found at the bottom of the Atlantic 73 years later on September 1st, 1985. It was found by Robert Ballard and his team. The ship was 2 miles below sea level, and the bow and stern were 2,000 feet apart. You now know about the building, voyage, and sinking of the Titanic. So the next time you watch the famous movie Titanic, I hope you can use the information you just learned.